Hi everyone, it's Nora here. So I quickly wanted to delve just a teeny bit into this topic of healthy eating. I think there's a lot of confusion amongst a lot of the women who I have been speaking with as of late with what healthy eating is and what it should look like. There's no framework or template that works for the population at large as to this is healthy eating. This is my stance because we are all biologically and physiologically different. So, a pregnant woman compared to a breastfeeding woman, compared to an older man, compared to a teen, maybe who's about to start her menstrual cycle, compared to somebody who is injured, compared to somebody who has underlying health conditions, their bodies are all going to require different amounts of micro and macronutrients to support them to thrive optimally. So they are functioning as effectively and efficiently and as healthily as they should. So when we are looking at healthy eating, we have to take a step back from what we know to be healthy eating as, if you're in England, the 5 a day plate, not the 5 a day plate, the NHS Eat Well plate, right? Where you have the 5 a day, you are advised on how many carbs, proteins, fats, saturated fats, dairy, water, etc. that you should have as a rough guideline, right? So that's a rough guideline. But we need to take that step back, and this is myself included, because it's a learning process, it's a lifestyle. It's not like I'm on a diet and this is what I'm going to do for a while to be healthy. This is life. This is how you function as a human being who needs to eat, breathe, and sleep, right? To survive. So we have to look at what foods makes you feel good. What foods do you eat that you feel good with? So good meaning you eat, you feel nourished, you feel satiated, you're satisfied, you've enjoyed your foods, you feel energized, you feel like you can get up and go and carry on with the rest of your day without feeling any guilt attached to that food. At its basis, that is healthy eating. So for example, if I have a lot of meat, right? And a lot of meat means like I'm having meat a couple times a week. I don't feel very good. I'm bloated, I'm constipated, I'm quite irritable. I feel full for too long, like uncomfortably full feeling where you feel like you still have food that's not digested. I get stuffy. That's if I eat have milk as well, anything with dairy, like my nose gets congested, my throat gets clogged up. I enjoy the food, but I suffer after. So that's not healthy eating for me. So we need to take a step back and stop complicating it and look at foods that you feel good with. And so, for example, we know fruits and vegetables are good for us, right? I was born and raised in Trinidad. There's a dish called Calorie where we make it with okra, depending on how you say it. I cannot stand it. Like, it's extremely healthy, very, very healthy, but it's slimy. I don't do slimy foods, which is why like I don't really touch like seafood and stuff. Like I can't. But it's healthy. But look at how I reacted to that. I didn't have a positive emotional connection to those foods, and so I'm eating it and I'm putting bad energy into it, and my body doesn't do well with it. So healthy eating also looks at what sort of an emotional attachment do you have to the food, and how are you energetically responding to the food. So if there's something, and this goes for moms, if you're listening, if you have children who don't like particular fruits and vegetables, there's a reason why. Don't force them. As an adult, you may think, oh, I've got to have beetroot. I said that because I have like steamed beetroots that I'm going to have for dinner tonight. And you're thinking, I don't really like beetroot, but it's healthy, so I'm going to have it. I would say actually don't. Go for the foods that you feel connected to. Go for the foods that you look forward to eating that are healthy, but you feel excited to eat them, because you know what? We're human beings. We're meant to eat. We're meant to enjoy the foods that we're eating. We're meant to enjoy that entire experience. So why suffer and eat something that you don't feel good with? I'm also a huge believer in, when you're eating something, you can either put good energy or bad energy into that particular food. And does it really support what your body needs it to do? Or does it really support the functions that it needs to support? It's a whole nother conversation. So healthy eating needs to be looked at on an individual approach to what foods support you to optimally thrive and feel good and energized, depending on the particular stage you are at in your life. So if you're pregnant, or breastfeeding, or if you have an injury, or if you keep getting injured, so it's an on and off thing, or if you are elderly, or if you have a baby or a toddler, or if you've got an underlying health conditions, like I said before, you need to go do the research and understand, okay, so these are the types of micronutrients, so your vitamins and your minerals that I need to be having every day to support my body to work well so that I'm functioning optimally and feeling energized. These are the types of macronutrients, so your proteins and your fats and your carbohydrates that I need to be having to do all of the above. Within those groups, you're going to look for the best quality versions of each that you can find. One of these years I'll do a video on micronutrients and how to understand the difference between synthetic and whole foods based micronutrients. So that's your vitamins and minerals. And also with your macronutrients, your proteins, your fats, and your carbohydrates, understanding how to choose the best of each of those food groups so that you are having as high a quality food plan as you can within your lifestyle according to what your budgetary I don't want to say restraints, but according to what your budget allows, right? So we need to eat well. It is really important. So that's the first thing. Healthy eating is not a blanket, one size fits all approach. We have to understand and do the research ourselves and not rely on anybody, myself included, to say, okay, this is what you should eat. Go understand, go try different foods and drinks and see how you feel after eating them. Anything that makes you feel good, light, energetic, refreshed, like you feel satiated, nourished, and all of that good stuff, have more of it. If you're feeling sluggish, bloated, irritable, sleepy, tired, grumpy, anything that pulls your energy away, those are foods that you need to avoid. Okay? Well, let's talk about the emotions attached to the foods that we're eating. A lot of the times you'll hear people say, oh, I'm going to have a treat. And that treat's like a chocolate cake or an ice cream. So why is that a treat? Okay, let's break it down. Why is that a treat? And I am guilty of this too, so I'm not judging, right? Why is that a treat if we know that the sugar, the additives, the food colorings, the preservatives, all of the chemicals that they're putting into that are going to wreck us internally to some extent? That's the first thing, right? Now you're saying, oh, I've had my treat. I've been so naughty. You see it? You've had your treat, but you've been so naughty. And this is why I feel like so many of us are in this like cycle of dieting and binging or starving and then struggling with healthy eating. If you are maintaining a healthy lifestyle, so you're exercising regularly, you are sleeping well, you are managing your stress levels, you're taking time for yourself, you're maintaining your hydration levels, you have a good relationship to self mentally and emotionally and spiritually, because I believe we are spiritual human beings. I don't believe we've just been plopped here onto planet Earth and then we live and we die and that's it. I feel like there's a lot more to us than we go into it in the health and fitness world, but that's fine. And so when I just went off on a tangent. When we are eating foods, we need to not have these emotions attached to it. Because I love food, and sometimes I'll have my red velvet. You guys know I love my red velvet cake. I will have my red velvet cake and I will enjoy it. And I won't feel guilty sometimes because I've done everything. I've exercised, I've slept well, I've taken time for me, I've checked my stress levels. And so a slice of cake is not going to be the end of the world. However, I feel like we've been conditioned as a society where if you haven't been doing all of those things, or if you feel like you don't look a certain way, or you haven't reached a certain standard, maybe a standard that's been put on you by family or cultural or society, you feel guilty having that slice of cake or that cookie or that biscuit or those, that bag of crisp. But why? So now you have the snack or the treat, and you feel guilty after, and then you have that negative conversation with yourself. Well, I'm not good enough, or I can't do it, or I've just ruined it, or I'm so fat I shouldn't have had that, or like I've just messed the whole thing up. So then just why even bother? And then you overeat even more, and it's that emotional eating that doesn't even work. Because I listened to this lecture, and the researcher was saying that even when people have been emotional eating, it doesn't do what, it doesn't cure anything. You don't feel better afterwards. Most of the times you feel worse. So as a society, I think we need to look at how we are classing foods, if at all, into treats or regular foods. So you will never, you never hear people say, to their child, let's go have a treat, and you see them taking them to like the fruit section in the grocery store to pick out like a mango or like a pineapple. It never happens. It never happens. But why, like, why is that not so? Because a pineapple is delicious. Like, if you've had, like, I remember growing up in Trinidad, like, you could pick these, I think it was a rose mango tree we had in the front yard, and you can just go pick it, right? And when you get them, when they're optimally ripe, like when the juice is like almost like a powdery, like sweet, oh, so good. That is a treat. Like, that is a treat. That just, it hits all your senses. Like, you're in heaven eating that mango. You feel great after. There are no side effects. There's nothing. That's a treat. So I feel like we need to recondition ourselves to think about how we talk about and connect our emotions to food in the first place. And when we can just look at food as food and not food as being good or bad, when you eat it, or you being good or bad because you've eaten a certain type of food, then you have a healthy relationship to food, and that is healthy eating, right? And then the second thing is categorizing yourself as being a good person or a bad person for having that treat. You're neither good nor bad for eating food. What I would say is, if you're eating a specific type of food, so today I have been, not today, I'm telling a lie, this whole week I've been craving fried chicken. It could be because I'm due to have my menstrual cycle soon, and I'm completely open with you guys, or it could be that right now I have enough stress with life in my life right now, and I haven't taken as much, so I have done meditation, but not as much as I needed to. So I'm craving foods that comfort, that I think comfort. Right, but I haven't had it. I've been really good. I haven't had it. See what I said? I've been really good. So even sometimes with how I speak, I have to take a step back and think, but I'm still classing myself as good or bad for having foods. And this is why I wanted to do this video, because I remember, over the last couple of weeks, it's been happening. It's been said so much to me with the people in my groups. And I'm like, okay, we need to address this. I'm guilty of this as well. And I want people to be able to eat food and not feel emotionally attached to it, where you're looking at yourself as good or bad. Now, back to what I was saying. If you're having a food and you know that, for example, and again, I've been guilty of this, so I talk about things that I've done so that I can teach from it. So there have been times where I found myself just nibbling on stuff and I'm like, I'm not even hungry. Like, why am I doing it? One could be mindlessness. So I'm not being mindful of what I'm doing. So that's an important note. Two could be, I don't stress eat. When I'm stressed, I don't tend to eat a lot. But if I feel maybe sad, I might find myself going for something that I don't need to have because I don't need to comfort with food. But I note that I'm doing that. Or another thing could be just like the availability of the food being there around you, like within close reach. And within that study that I was listening to, they were saying that people will tend to eat more if food is like immediately there, like it's like right here, as opposed to if you've got to like reach your hands out or go somewhere to get the food. So having food within a very close proximity also makes it more easily accessible. You're likely to have more of it. So understanding how you are emotionally feeling before you eat is important. If you're a stress eater, or if you know that you're an emotional eater, you eat to attempt to soothe your emotions, or you're a mindless eater, you eat because it's around, or you're a picky, like a picker type of eater, you pick at things because you've got little, you pick this, you pick that, or if you tend to finish your children's plates because you have this, and this is what I had to stop doing, because how I was raised, you finish what's on your plate, you don't waste food, people around the world are starving, you're blessed to have food, you eat everything on your plate, your children eat, you finish their plate, why? And so you do all of that and then you feel rubbish after. And this is where the unhealthy associations with food come. And it's not only the unhealthy association with food, it's the relationship to self and how you feel about you. Because they say me, myself, and I. We're not just like one entity, right? It's like me, myself, and I. Like there's more than one component to me. So if I tell myself I'm not going to have a particular food, but I haven't managed my stress levels and I go binge eat or I starve, and then I feel disappointed or let down, like I've let myself down, then I don't create that relationship with myself where I am empowering myself or supporting myself or being forgiving and saying, you know what, you had a rough day, it wasn't the best decision, but this is just a small part of the bigger picture, and understand why you did it. Let's put some structures into place so that it doesn't happen again, or you minimize the risk of it happening, and let's move on with life, and let's do something positive, maybe to like even take the place of what happened that shouldn't necessarily happen, and not looking at ourselves as being failures or anything less than amazing human beings, because life is difficult now in terms of, I shouldn't use the word difficult, but life it's unpredictable, it's challenging. And it's difficult in the sense, and this is why I chose the word difficult probably, but difficult in the sense that we don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. And so I think a lot of people are struggling with healthy eating now. Should I calorie count? Absolutely not. Should I go on a diet? Absolutely not. Diets don't work. You know, people, that research has shown that within a couple of years, people who diet either tend to lose all the weight and then gain some bar 2 pounds, or gain extra weight on top of what they already lost initially. So it's about creating this relationship with self first, and understanding that what you eat or drink has nothing to do with who you are as a person. You're not good or bad. You are you, right? And understanding that there's no good food or bad food per se. Food will either do good things or bad things to your system, right? And this is something I want to explore more of, because I think I would say, well, you shouldn't have like Diet Coke, or you shouldn't have aspartame, etc. But because we know that some things are good or bad for the body, but coming away from classifying food as good or bad, because if we have them, then we then become what we eat. Like, you are what you eat. So coming away from classifying yourself or your food as good or bad, and letting it just be food. This is either going to support what I want my system and my body to do, and my goals for my system and my body, or it's going to take me further away from what my system needs and what I want to do for it, and it's going to make it more difficult for me to reach my specific goal. So that is really what healthy eating is, looking at the connection that is created with food, right? To you, and how you show up. So when you have that cookie or that bag of crisp or that glass of wine or that slice of cake, and you are working towards a specific goal, a lot of people are just trying to lose weight and tune up now, and you have that and you think, oh, I've been so bad today, I've been so naughty, I've had a treat and I shouldn't have had it. And then you just think, oh, I could never stick to anything. And then you take a step back and you look at your life and you think, okay, I've always started and stopped exercising or eating in a way that I know my system thrives off of, or doing the things that I know work well for me. And you go back and you look at the main culprits, which are you, your emotions, and food. Then you tend to see a pattern, right? So I really want to encourage people to first of all explore what healthy eating is for you as an individual, and that's going to look completely different to each person. And this is the education piece where you need to go away, maybe take a few weeks, and I say a few weeks because your body has to adjust as well, or even a couple of months. So there's no rush with this. Try different types of cuisine, try different cultural foods. I like to go to the Indian market sometimes, or the Chinese shop, or maybe like the Polish shop, and look and see what they have, and then take little bits from there and add that into my diet, see what I like and eat that, what I feel good off of, and understand, okay, these particular foods, this type of menu works well for me, eat that. Then you're going to not look at you having foods that are advised for you not to be eating, loads of like ice cream and cakes and biscuits and wine. You're not going to look at that as being good or bad. You're just going to look at that as food. It's either going to support what I want to accomplish, or it's not going to support what I want to accomplish. And if you have it, have a little. Tune into yourself so you're not overeating it. You're not finishing the bag or the glass or the bottle or the pack, right? So you might want to buy less of it and enjoy it. Because food is meant to be enjoyed. Food is delicious. Like, we're coming up with more and more innovative, creative, delicious combinations and concoctions of food. And who wouldn't want to eat it? And why do you have to be bad because you've had it? Have a little bit, don't overdo it, and stop. And the third thing is checking in with your emotions. And so this is where I feel a lot of us fail. And maybe where this whole thing with like a treat came from for unhealthy foods. If you are feeling overwhelmed or anxious or depressed or fed up, or confused or tired, even anything where you're not like feeling a high on life, that's when you need to really implement the principles of being mindful. And I talk about the breath a lot, especially in my exercise sessions where like we're in beast mode, right? But being mindful of how you are right now in this world, in this moment, in the now. How do I feel? And if you're feeling any of those emotions where you're not feeling high off of life, not eating just yet, just chilling out. Take a step back. Like you do not need to eat right now. You don't need it. Or drink. You just need to tune into what do I need. And life is so super fast paced, unless you're on like some island somewhere with like the beach and like coconut trees and like really cute dogs, like and super hot men. Life is chill, but it's not like, where we are now. Life is super fast paced and so intense, and we are not designed to keep up with the pace of life. So we tend to come away, we step outside ourselves, and we try to add things in. It's from the inside out. So take a step back, check into how you're feeling, remove yourself from food, go for a walk, have a bath, sit and breathe, meditate, do some art, journal, talk to a friend, have a cry, have a shower, brush your teeth, do something to process your emotions. And when you've processed your emotions, then you will be able to intrinsically eat. And this is why I don't preach on calorie counting unless you have a health condition where it's important for you to stay within a certain caloric infrastructure, like if you're morbidly obese, for example, and your life is depending on it. If you're like a normal human being and you're trying to shift a few pounds, you do not need to count calories. I think it's an unhealthy relationship to food, because say, for example, like you're at 2,000 calories per day, right? And you go for like by 500, you're like, oh my God, it's the end of the world. I've had 500 more calories. For what? You just feel so bad because you've broken the rules. You've not stuck to the plan. You've had 500 calories, one extra meal. So intrinsically tune into your body, because your body is going to tell you what it needs, right? Intuition, inner knowing, inner knowledge, inner learning. Listen to what particular foods your body needs, and this is why like having a set diet plan always it doesn't work, because different days you'll need different things, especially for women who are menstruating as well. Like, we need to be really in tune with our bodies and pregnant women as well, what our bodies are asking for. Sometimes that ties to deficiencies, and that's a whole other topic. But when you get to understand your body and what it wants and how it wants it and how much of it needs, you'll find that you are going to maintain a certain healthy weight, because you're not going to overeat, you're not going to overdrink, you're going to then start to sleep better, you're then going to be able to manage your stress levels, you're then going to feel more energetically, vibrationally charged. So in what's the word I'm looking for? Intuitive eating what your body is asking for it's important. And so when you do that, your emotional connection to food dissipates, because you're just eating food. I'm having a salad, or I'm having a bowl of pasta, I'm having a slice of cake. It's just okay, and it's just food. Now, I caveat that with saying other healthy behaviors also need to follow. So exercise is important. It looks different for all of us. Some of us are not going to be able to do HIIT sessions or really hard lifting sessions. Some of us, just gentle walking or being out in nature is enough. Sleep is super important. A lot of us don't sleep enough, and that's detrimental. If you're not sleeping, your hormones are doing all sorts of beautiful, delicious things that are going to make you feel all sorts of desirable or undesirable ways. And that's going to completely wreck your relationship to food if you haven't checked everything, because you're going to crave everything that you shouldn't be having, because your body's sort of like in go sort of survival mode. So sleep is so super important. So if you're not sleeping, that's the first thing to check out of anything. Sleep. Let your system reset, restore, recharge, rebuild, repair, and then you will start to get things in balance. So sleep. Then stress, again, your cortisol levels, your adrenaline levels, all of those beautiful hormones are going to be doing different things. If you're stressed, that's going to impact how you show up and respond or crave food, okay, or feel about how you eat certain foods. So check your stress levels. Sleep and stress, super important. Hydration, also super important. Make sure you're drinking a lot of fresh, filtered, beautifully pure water. And then time for you. A lot of us need to take a little break from life, away from children, away from the family, away from people, away from the requests and demands of life, and give back. I've got very excited kids in the background playing outside, sorry. And give back to ourselves. They say, oh, you can't serve from an empty cup. And I never understood that. I was like, what does that even mean? Like, you can't serve from an empty cup, like how? And I never understood that until as a mother, like I was just, you have your business, you have work, you have your family, and everything else that you're trying to do, friends and everything else, and you just think, oh my God, like this is a lot. Like I've given to everybody else, I have nothing left. And that's when your cup is empty, right? And so to give back to yourself, you step away and think, okay, what do I need to do for me right now? And sometimes that means that I just lie on the couch. That's it. I lie on the couch, stare at the ceiling, look outside, do nothing. Sometimes it means that I attempt to do art. Sometimes it means that I sit and do meditation, or I love to burn my incense and just like, create like a smoky, hazy atmosphere, whatever it is. And I feel great after. So I'm going to stop talking since this video's, it's kind of long now. But let's for the next, let's for the next sort of couple of months or going forward, challenge ourselves to not look at food as being good or bad, not look at ourselves as being good or bad for having certain foods, not calorie count, just eat intuitively. So your body wants to have a salad, have the salad. Your body wants to stop eating. If it's breakfast time and you think, oh, I should have breakfast. No, you're not hungry. Don't eat. Doesn't matter if it's breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Don't eat. Food is energy. Your body will tell you when it needs some. And you need energy to function. If you don't need the energy, don't have it. And also take time for ourselves, so that we're developing that healthy relationship to ourselves. And finally, creating our own version of healthy eating. So not looking for any, personal trainer or nutritionist or government guideline to say, okay, this is what healthy eating should look like for you. You are your own best teacher, right? You know what you feel good off of. You know what your body thrives off of. And if you don't know, get to know, start that process. And then you have the basis for healthy eating for you as an individual, where you thrive and feel optimal and feel energized and feel fantastic, and your body is functioning as it's supposed to, and everything is doing what it's supposed to. And that, my friends, is healthy eating. So feel free to ask questions. We can open a conversation up on this topic, or share comments, because it's a good one. It's a really good one, and I'll probably do part 2 or 3 to this later on. But I just had to get it out. I had to get it out because I had so many questions in it. So it's out. I've done it. All right, I'm gonna go cook dinner now. So I wish you guys lots of love, and I will talk to you soon. All right, take care.